Welcome to the Color of Influence podcast, where you will hear conversations from influential people of color from around the world, from social media, and right here in your communities. These behind the scenes conversations will motivate you, inspire you, and encourage you. I am your host, Aisha Morgan, and let's meet today's guest. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's guests are none other than Ericka and William, the owners of Puzzles of Color. Now, since recording this episode, we have wonderful updates for you all. They are now in Target. They are a part of Target's Black History Month collection, and you could find it on the Black History Month display. They are also up for the 15% Pledge Achievement Award, so head over to their Instagram to get all of the voting details. Without further ado, let's get into this conversation of how Puzzles of Color came about with Ericka and William. All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We have two great guests with us today, William and Ericka, who are the co-founders of Puzzles of Color. I discovered them, like everyone else, I feel like, from social media and different people posting, and I just fell in love with their whole story. So why don't you two introduce yourselves, and then we'll get talking about your company.
Well, I am Ericka. Puzzles of Color was a mixture of our ideas. I'm a big sister. It's a family-run business we have here. A few years ago, when I was pregnant with my first daughter, I was like wanting to do a puzzle, and I was wanting a piece that my brother has a friend that's an artist, and I was like, it'd be great if she made a puzzle out of that piece. And from there, William was like, that's a great business idea. And we kind of grown and blossomed from there. And I found a bunch of different artists to work with. But yeah, like we have been doing this since July of 2020. And, we're still going strong on our third collection. I kind of am the more of the business and like administrative side of the company, and William is our creative director, and he finds all the artists and does a lot of the communicating with them. He does our logos and like social media, branding stuff. And yeah, that's us.
I love it. William, do you want to just jump in and say anything, introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, I'm William Jones. I just do, like I said, the branding side of the business, working with the artist and kind of like I said, finding art. Nothing that she didn't mention. But yeah, we do. It's a bit around business, but we do a lot of the work. Like we're very hands on with it. My wife and my parents are both involved, and Erica's husband as well. So it's really and her daughter actually. Everybody's involved in this, so it's pretty cool to work with family like that. Work with family like that.
Cool. I love that. So when you decided that you wanted to have this art piece put on the puzzle, how do you go about doing that?
We it was not easy to find information. We like had Googled it for about a year before we actually went into the business. Funnily enough, we came up with the idea in 2019,
Okay.
before COVID, which would have been much more, which might have worked out better for us in some ways if we had started before COVID. Because then puzzles made this huge, resurrection in 2020.
Right.
But we basically the way that a puzzle is made is that you get this high resolution image. Of course, it has to be really, really, really high resolution because when you're blowing this thing up, you want to make sure that we're not getting like pixels and things like that on the actual image itself. But you get a high resolution image, you print it onto it, you print it fully completed, and then mount it onto the cardboard or wood if you're doing wood, and then cut it into the puzzle pieces. So we actually have a used to manufacture puzzles ourselves, and we had a machine where we would literally have the giant prints, run them through this machine, and it would like be like a giant, it was like a, I call it like a giant cookie cutter, and it would
Yeah.
just press down the different shapes of
It's
the
a
Oh,
roller.
pieces
cool.
to give you a completed puzzle. And you just shuffle the pieces, put them in a bag, and there you go. So that is the process of getting that the image actually on the puzzle. But of course, William can tell you more about like how we select the art, all of that jazz.
Yeah, I would love to hear that.
Yeah. Well, subject art depends on like we really wanted to find artists who had pieces that kind of like uplifting or told like a cool story, and they kind of just weren't something that we wanted, be proud to show and to
Yeah.
entertain everybody. Because there's so many images of art people in bad lights. We want to get something to good light, positive, just fun light like that. And
Yeah.
so we work with our artists through like mostly through social media. We find them. Some people we actually have personal connections with or know through like school or other business ventures we've done. So it's
Mhm.
pretty cool in that sense. But like we're definitely like really open to like working with artists from all around the world and America and all around the world, really.
Cool. I love that too, because of social media, you guys are able to connect with so many people that we normally wouldn't have access to.
Yep.
Yeah. And for us, like, I mean, a big part of like why we started the business, in addition to, of course, me wanting this specific piece to be a
Right.
puzzle, which by the way, we have not been able to do because my mom has blocked us. It was a custom piece that my brother got made for her. And so she's like, no, that
Oh.
can't be a puzzle. That's my piece. But whatever. um, but in addition to specifically wanting that one piece, we realized we had been doing puzzles our entire lives. That was actually something that my mom just kind of started with us when we were young,
Okay.
like as a way to like stay entertained, keep your brains moving when we're on school break, especially around the holidays this time of year with winter break and these extended times off. So we would really do like 1 or 2 thousand piece puzzles over a break, and we had a hard time finding puzzles that had like any kind of representation. Like, of course, back then, I mean, that was even like what, 25 years ago when we were
Yeah.
so like it wasn't like the the internet existed in the same way. It wasn't quite as easy to like shop for things that had representation, except for like a local black bookstore or something like that. So
Right.
we had a really hard time finding images that represented us, and we did a lot of like landscapes and things like that just because that's what we could find. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
even over time we realized like that had not changed much. So we really wanted to make sure that for one, like when you're doing a puzzle, you like actually get to really appreciate the love that went into that piece because you're seeing all these small details. And
Right.
so like wanting to give artists a chance to like showcase their art in a different way, but also wanting to like show representation and specifically for artists of color. So all of
Right.
our artists are artists of color, and they also get a percentage of the sales. And so we really are all about like uplifting the community, through the imagery, but also through the artists themselves.
Yes. Now, your pieces, are they meant to be mounted, or is it just like a puzzle? You have fun with it and you take it apart? Or is it meant to be like hung somewhere, like actual displaying the art?
Oh yeah, they're definitely meant to be framed. I mean, there are works of art, but they're artists, so we wanted to make sure they're frameable sizes. They're not 16 by 500 piece, 16 by 20, so it's pretty easy to find a frame for that.
Yeah.
21.7 for the 1,000 piece puzzle. So they're easy to find frames for, and wanted people to hang one on your wall. And like, I mean, we definitely enjoy growing up. We did our puzzle. We always hung ours up, so
Mm-hmm.
we want to make sure that it's still possible with our puzzles as well.
Okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
because when I've seen them, I mean, like you said, they're works of art. Like
Yeah.
picture itself is just amazing. I'm not a puzzle person. I have ADHD, so it's very hard for me to like just really sit and attend to small pieces of a puzzle like that. But I'm going to be honest, because of the art that I'm going to create when I'm finished, that's what drives me to get the puzzle.
Right.
like I know when I'm done, I'm gonna be able to hang this and actually have people see like what an amazing job this artist did.
Right.
So I think that, it gives you an incentive to keep going and finish it. You're not just finishing it to put it away and, maybe pull it out a couple months later or something. So
Yeah, exactly. We want to make sure it was something you want to put on your wall. That's totally the reason why we picked the art that we did, because we wanted something they can enjoy. And like
yeah,
you said, like people who aren't even puzzle, people just love art, would
right,
appreciate it and want to take the time and really like, get into puzzling with it. Because I think it also helps with the getting to know the piece a little more, because you get to see like colors that kind of make up the puzzle,
right.
the minor details you didn't notice because you look at the full thing, but look at small parts of it, really get to dissect the puzzle and really like more about it that way.
Yeah. So from the artists that you guys have had, do you have like more like images of people, or is it like abstract? Is it like a mix of things? Like what can people expect to find when they go shopping for a puzzle of color?
We do have a lot of images of people because that is something that we felt like was missing, especially like seeing a Black person on a puzzle was not something that was as common. And so we do have a lot of images of people, but we always like to have a few abstracts in the mix. I know, there are people who are like, I don't want a picture of somebody I don't know in my house. I want
Right.
and I even me personally, I have a lot of abstract art in my house. Like that is the art that I tend to gravitate
Yeah.
towards. And so we do have a mix to kind of give people options. We haven't done too much like kind of like landscapey type stuff, but we do plan to do that as well in the future. Or nature, or like animals, whatever, in the future. Because at the end of the day, like it also, going back to the artists, like there are so many Black, there are Black artists that do nature too. There are Black artists
Mhm.
that do, all these
Right.
different things too. And so we want to give those artists, a platform to be able to showcase their skills as well. And it gives people a variety. One of the cool things, like people are always asking like, oh, did you do the art, whenever we're at events, and it's like, no. I just curated it.
Right.
But the good thing about that is that we have so many different styles. So even like I have a friend that like with our news collection that just released, she's like, I've been waiting for the perfect one, and it came in this collection because
Yeah.
different styles resonate with different people, from the colors that are being used, the type of, like, uh, you know, digital versus painting versus, you know, uh, pastels or something like that, like the different like mediums that people use, all those things kind of resonate in different ways. And so we like to show a variety.
Yeah. So you say like collections, right?
Mhm.
So how do you guys select a collection?
Well, when we originally started off, it was pretty simple. We just said, "Hey, would you like to make your art into a puzzle?" And if they said yes, we're like, "All right, cool, come with us." But now it's a lot more curated. We actually try to like our last collection was called Growth, so it's kind of like
Okay.
a mix between curating and using what we saw, what we had. But so we wanted to have something that was kind of like oriented to like growth in either sense of like nature or actual like for the people in your life growth as a person
Yeah.
or journey and life, I guess. And so we really wanted to like tell a story in that way. And for our next collection, we have another kind of theme we're going for. So we're trying to theme it out a little more, and then like from there, going like looking at art, talking to artists, kind of seeing what they have that kind of would fit the theme. And if not, I mean, if we still like the art, we'll keep them up in the next round. We have
Right.
plan on doing more than like hopefully like doing two collections in a year at some point if we ever get to that point. So we're really hoping to really just grow in that way and have a lot more collections.
How do you decide like when to start a new collection? Is it by how many you've sold, or is it just kind of like, all right, we're ready to put something new out there?
Well, what William kind of alluded to, like we wanted to do two collections per year. And we have not been able to get to that point yet. Just like, new to business and all of that, trying to get like figure out timing and like,
Yeah.
balancing the budgets of like okay, we had a lot of sales. Can we afford to do a collection right now? That kind of thing. So
Yeah.
we are, so we're working on like figuring out like what is the cadence? How can we like kind of keep that afloat?
Mm-hmm.
But like we basically, the fall is definitely like a peak time for us. As in with most retailer, most people who
Right.
have an item, when you get into the holiday season, of course there's a lot of things going on that at that time. So we will probably always have a fall collection because in addition to the holiday season, you also have just that it gets colder and people are inside
Right.
more, so they want to do puzzles more
Yeah.
versus like in the spring, you're a little bit doing more outdoor activities. So
Yeah.
kind of like trying to go off of that. Well, we have historically our fall collections comes out in October.
Okay.
That's how it was our first collection, and it has been throughout. And then we're hoping to eventually hope be able to have like maybe a May or like a spring and a fall collection in the future.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do you guys do anything like custom? So, for I don't know, like a Christmas puzzle or breast cancer awareness or something like that. Do you take any of those types of requests?
We have done a few like partnerships. So we just had a really great experience doing a partnership with Children's Miracle Network.
Okay.
We printed 1,000 puzzles for them we actually basically they told us kind of like a theme, and we got an artist to come up with a piece for them and had that turn into a puzzle. And we've done a few other ones for like some corporations.
Okay.
But unfortunately, the way our manufacturing works, they like minimum that they can print is 200.
Got
So
it.
we can't
Okay.
exactly do like, some of the smaller like one-offs, like if a person
Yeah.
wanted to print like for their, a family reunion or something like that, and they want to do a smaller order, we don't have the ability to do that anymore. But we do have the ability for like larger orders of 20 or sorry, 200 or more.
Got it. Okay. So when you're doing your puzzles, obviously 200, you're not cutting them. So how did
Not
you
anymore.
Or we had to cut 200 in a couple of days before. That was stressful.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
When we were manufacturing ourselves, like we still actually manufacture our children's puzzle, which is like a 60 piece. It's a very small puzzle, and it's a lot faster to like just run that through the machine a couple of times.
right?
Um, but it is stressful because it's like because we do both work full-time jobs, so it's like, okay, I'll meet you up there at 7 o'clock at night, and then we'll just knock this out. And I'm like, my daughter is like at the grandma's house until midnight because we're still doing it can be a little bit messy. But but hopefully we're trying to work away from that because we have to, focus on other parts of the business as well. So
Right. That's true. So where do you get them made now?
we have a overseas manufacturer.
Okay.
So yeah.
yep,
Good.
we worked with a few, and we used to actually, well, first we used to cut them in house, but like the company that made our boxes from the very beginning, they were
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, you guys know we do puzzles. After a year of us struggling ourselves. And it was like, oh, no, we didn't. That would have been helpful to know. So so they
Yeah.
ended up taking that on. And it's always interesting working, overseas, because like, if there's a problem, you have to tell them at midnight, or whatever, when
Right.
they're awake and all that kind of stuff, which can work out for us since we work a lot of times after hours.
Sure.
But it's been interesting. We have worked with a few manufacturers in the United States, but their minimums are a lot higher. So it's kind
Okay.
of like we have the contacts if we need them. We just kind of work around whatever, especially for custom orders, like if we have one of that size, then we can work with them and go from
Yeah.
there.
Now, have you been to the factory where your puzzles are made, or is it just more of like a virtual connection?
Virtual right now. The factory that makes them in America, we wanted to go out there. We had one in Florida, and we had one in like, I believe it's in Kansas.
Okay.
And we have not been able to actually go out in person, unfortunately, yet. One day.
Yeah.
I want to do that. So
So in the meantime, where can people purchase your puzzles?
All of our puzzles are available on puzzlecolor.com. We're also on, we have a couple of retailers. You can find them on our website as well.
I know you're in Houston. We do have a retailer in Houston. I want to say Sugar Cafe.
Yeah,
Is the
brown
one
sugar.
that's there. Yeah, Brown Sugar Cafe is in Houston.
Yeah.
And then we're also on Amazon and Madewell. So yeah,
Okay.
Madewell.com as well.
Good.
Yeah.
So do y'all do any shows or anything around?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it just more virtual sales?
Oh, 100%. Shows are where it's at.
Okay.
We just finished the State Fair of Texas. That's like our new annual event. So we do that. It ran September 30th through October 24th.
Mhm.
We also do kind of pop-ups throughout. We're actually going to be at the Atlanta Ultimate Women's Expo coming up soon. We'll be
Okay.
at the Blavity is having an event
Right.
this
In
weekend that we'll be
Austin.
at. Yep.
Mhm.
So we'll yeah, whatever we find out about events, we get invited to events a lot. So we try to get out there and share our story with the world.
Now, do you want to be in like retail stores, like big box stores, or is this you like the way your company is now?
Yeah, we are actually in talks with a big box store right now for like a temporary placement. So
Okay.
looking forward to that. And we hopefully from there we'll be able to grow and expand for like some permanent placements. So
Right.
we do hope to get to that point for sure so that it can help us to the more available you are, the more people will know about you and the more sales. So
Exactly. Exactly. Well, is there any closing words that you would like to say to everyone? Where they can find you again, or if you're going to be somewhere during the next couple of months, to just let them know where you're going to go?
Well, you can find us on social media. We're on like Instagram, TikTok, really popping on TikTok right now. It's Puzzle Color everywhere. And then we'll be if you're in the Dallas area, at an Enchant Christmas. It's a little winter wonderland, ice land they're doing out at the Fair Park. And we'll
Mm-hmm.
be there all of the holiday season until January 1st, I believe. And yeah, we're gonna try to, like I said, we're gonna do a lot of events. So that's really been our bread and butter at the moment. But we definitely love the online sales and online um Patreonish.
patrons.
I know. I just kept thinking Patreon, that app. So
Right. Yeah.
now, if somebody wanted to have you guys come to one of their shows or a conference or something, how would they get in contact with you?
Yeah, they can just email us at info@puzzlesofcolor.com and we'll see if we can fit them in the schedule. That's one thing for sure that like we are trying to do a lot more. Of course we started during COVID, so like events was not even a thing. And so
Right, exactly.
we're still kind of navigating and maneuvering through that, like, what events are worth it and what, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like that is something that we're trying to do more and more of in the coming months and
Oh,
year. So please share any events you have. We're also trying to get out of the Dallas area. We're from Dallas, and that's convenient for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
that's
But
great.
wanting to kind of like be available and seen by other areas. So send the information our way.
All right.
Actually, we will be in Showfield's pop-up.
Oh
Uh,
yes.
we'll be they're doing a pop-up store. It's like a 6-month installation.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be in New York and in DC,
Starting November.
sometime in November, pretty late November, I think. So yeah.
Yep, just
Love
in
it.
time for Black Friday and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
The dates have kind of been pushed, and so we don't have the exact dates yet. But they said that we will be out in time for Black Friday. So, Showfields DC and Showfields New York. If you're in those areas, feel free to stop by. And then also, if you check our website, it does have the list of all of the different venues that sell our puzzles. So we have a lot of the different smaller like specialty shops especially in the Northeast, because we did a trade show up there that got us a lot of business. So we're available in about 30 stores
Oh,
across the
good.
country, including a
Yeah.
few museums, and so check those out.
Love that. And I mean, like, we have a store here that's called Black Market, but they
Hmm.
also do like little pop-up shops once a month. Normally it's like around this time until like Juneteenth, where they do the pop-up shops, but they actually have a store now. But it's called Black Market. That would be cool if y'all
Yeah,
could.
we've heard of those guys. We've heard of them.
Yeah, I mean, I find a lot of stuff through them that I
Awesome.
normally wouldn't have a clue about just from, their store. So
Yeah. I'm ready to reach
something
out
to
to them.
look into. Yeah,
Yeah, appreciate that.
you're welcome. And I definitely have seen them at Brown Sugar. That's like 10 minutes from my house.
Oh, really?
Yes, I've been there a couple of times.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, well, I appreciate the two of you taking the time out to talk to us all about puzzles of color. Everybody, whether you love puzzles or not, this is a great business to support. I am not a puzzle person, but I do have these amazing art pieces from their puzzles. So go head over to their website, their Instagram, and check them out and show your support.
Thank
Ericka and
you.
William, thank you so much again for hanging out with me this evening. And I cannot wait to see where your business goes from here.
So appreciate it. Thanks for having us. It was great.
You're welcome. Y'all have a good night.
All right, you too.
Bye.
And that's a wrap on another amazing episode. I know that you were just as inspired as I was after listening to that conversation. And to let us know how we're doing, don't forget to leave us a review, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can also follow us on all social media platforms, from YouTube to Facebook, at The Color of Influence, and on Instagram, the_color_of_influence. You can check out all of our episodes and additional content on our website, thecolorofinfluence.com, and that's an N only for influence. And don't forget to share the podcast with someone you know, and have them share the podcast with someone they know. Thank you all for listening. Until next time, peace out.